8-foot alien. Queen laughed at the idea of breeding with a human until she got pregnant, reaches its climactic moment as Aurelia gives birth amidst chaos on the warship. Soldiers storm in to destroy the abomination. But baby Aurora emits a powerful energy wave that disables weapons throughout the fleet. High Commander Pyrax, once their enemy, falls to his knees in awe before the miraculous hybrid child who instantly bridges two warring species. The howling winds of the snow-choked moon tore at Commander Will Watson's damaged shuttle, threatening to rip what remained of the hull plating clean off. Hyperspace interference had fractured their entry vector, sending the Hyperion craft spiraling toward the uncharted surface. As the shuttle's systems failed one by one, Will activated his powered combat armor, the only thing that might keep him alive in the brutal conditions outside. Mayday! Mayday! This is Commander Will Watson of the Earth Expeditionary Forces. My craft has been critically damaged during hyperspace exit. Coordinates unknown. Anyone receiving? Static was his only answer as the comms system sputtered and died. The shuttle gave one final mechanical groan before the emergency lights went dark. Will checked his armor's power levels, 72% and falling faster than he'd like. The environmental systems would keep him alive for 48 hours at most. He'd need to find shelter and a way to summon rescue before then. With a resigned sigh, he activated the emergency hatch. It blew outward with a pneumatic hiss, instantly filling the cabin with swirling snow and biting cold. Even through his armor, Will felt the temperature drop. His HUD displayed an external reading of minus 87 degrees Celsius. "Just another day in paradise," he muttered, stepping out into the blizzard. The storm reduced visibility to mere meters. Will trudged forward, his armor's enhanced strength the only reason he could move through the deep snow. His scanner swept for any sign of shelter, natural or artificial. This moon wasn't supposed to be inhabited, at least not according to Earth's intelligence reports. But Earth's reports on the Solarian Empire's territorial holdings were spotty at best. After 2 hours of grueling progress, Will's scanner pinged. Something large was moving toward him through the blinding snow. He drew his sidearm, though his fingers were stiff despite the armor's heating elements. A figure emerged from the white void, and Will's breath caught in his throat. Standing before him was an alien at least 8 feet tall, clad in orange scale armor that seemed to shimmer against the endless white. The being's elongated head housed 4 glittering eyes, and a crown-like crest marked it as Solarian royalty. Most alarmingly, the alien had a weapon leveled directly at Will's chest. "Human," the alien spoke, the universal translator in Will's helmet, converting the clicks and hisses into English. "You trespass on Imperial territory." Will lowered his weapon slowly. "My ship crashed. I'm not here by choice." The alien tilted its head, studying him with those unsettling eyes. "A convenient claim. What human vessel approaches the Forbidden Moons?" "I'm alone. My shuttle malfunctioned during hyperspace transit." Will gestured to the direction he'd come from. "You can verify for yourself." The alien's finger tightened on the trigger of its weapon. "Humans always lie. Perhaps I should execute you now and save myself the trouble." Will's suit power indicator blinked. 65%. "Look, kill me if you want. But could we at least move somewhere warmer first? This storm will finish me off anyway if we stand here debating much longer." To his surprise, the alien made a sound that his translator identified as laughter. "You have courage, human, or perhaps just foolishness." The weapon lowered slightly. "I am Queen Aurelia of the 7th House, and you are now my prisoner." Will bowed his head slightly, recognizing the unexpected reprieve. "Commander Will Watson, Earth Expeditionary Forces. I'm at your mercy, Your Majesty." Aurelia gestured with her weapon. "This way. My outpost is hidden from Imperial sensors. If we're discovered, we both die." Not the most reassuring thing I've heard today, Will mumbled, following the towering queen into the blizzard. They trudged for what seemed like hours. The storm intensified, battering even Aurelia's larger frame. Will noticed her steps faltering occasionally, the cold affecting even her alien physiology. His suit power dropped to 57%. "How much farther?" he shouted over the howling wind. "Silence! Human!" Aurelia hissed, but then pointed ahead. "There!" At first, Will saw nothing but more snow and rock. Then Aurelia pressed her hand against what appeared to be solid stone, and a hidden door slid open, revealing a narrow corridor carved into the rock face. They entered quickly, the door sealing behind them. Dim emergency lights flickered to life along the corridor as they proceeded deeper into the outpost. The temperature rose gradually, allowing Will to finally retract his helmet. Aurelia removed her own mask, revealing iridescent scales in hues of blue and purple across her face. Up close, without the distortion of the storm, Will could see that her features were both alien and striking, regal in their exotic beauty. "This outpost is off the grid," Aurelia explained, leading him into a central chamber filled with dormant technology. "A royal safe house, should revolution ever come. The storm interferes with most scanning technologies. We should be safe here." "Safe from what exactly?" Will asked, examining the room. "I didn't realize Solarian queens needed to hide on frozen moons." Aurelia's four eyes narrowed. "Politics, human. Something your simple species would struggle to comprehend." She activated a control panel, and more systems hummed to life around them. "The outpost's life support is functional, but communications and power are unstable. We may be here for some time." Will nodded, processing this information. "So, Your Majesty, if I'm your prisoner, where's my cell?" Aurelia's mouth formed what might have been a smile. "The entire outpost is your cell, Commander. Attempt to leave, and the cold will kill you faster than I could." "Fair enough," Will said, removing his armor's outer plates to conserve power. "So what brings a queen to this frozen hellscape? Vacation? Tax evasion?" "Impertinent human," Aurelia said, but without genuine anger. "I am here conducting sensitive research. Research that, if discovered by certain factions within my empire, would be considered treasonous." Will raised an eyebrow. "And what kind of research would have a queen risking treason?" Aurelia hesitated, then gestured to a door on the far side of the chamber. "Perhaps it's better if I show you." The laboratory beyond was filled with equipment Will didn't recognize. At its center stood a containment field, housing what appeared to be crystalline structures, pulsing with inner light. "These are xenobiological samples," Aurelia explained, "from various species across known space, including humans." Will stiffened. "How did you get human samples?" "The same way all empires gather intelligence," she replied coolly. "Through conquest, trade, and subterfuge." "And what's so treasonous about studying alien biology?" Aurelia's crest flared slightly, a sign of emotion Will couldn't interpret. "The Solarian Empire maintains its power through genetic purity. We are taught that all other species are inferior, incompatible, and dangerous. My research suggests otherwise. I believe cross-species cooperation, even integration, is not only possible but potentially beneficial." Will whistled low. "Yeah, I can see how that wouldn't be popular with the Imperial purists." "Indeed," Aurelia said dryly. "For a queen to suggest such heresy would mean immediate execution." The lights flickered again, more severely this time. Will moved to the control panel. "Your power supply is degrading. Mind if I take a look?" Aurelia hesitated, then stepped aside. "You have engineering expertise?" "I'm a pilot," Will said, examining the alien technology. "But all Hyperion pilots are trained in emergency systems repair. This doesn't look so different from our tech." As Will worked, Aurelia observed him closely. You're not what I expected from a human. Let me guess, you expected something more primitive? Less adaptable, she corrected. Humans have a reputation for being fragile creatures who rely on technology rather than natural strength. Will laughed. Says the Queen hiding in a high-tech bunker. To his surprise, Aurelia laughed as well, a melodic sound that seemed to transform her severe features. Perhaps we are not so different after all, Commander Watson. Hours passed as they worked together to stabilize the outpost systems. Conversation flowed more easily than either had expected. Will learned of Solarian culture beyond the propaganda Earth had fed its soldiers, while Aurelia seemed genuinely curious about human customs and beliefs. When the primary power failed entirely, they found themselves standing close in the emergency lighting, the air between them charged with something neither had anticipated. Your species is considered hideously unattractive by Solarian standards, Aurelia said softly. Will grinned. You sure know how to compliment a guy. It wasn't meant as an insult, she replied. I find I don't share that assessment. Their first kiss happened under those flickering emergency lights, tentative, exploratory, and utterly forbidden. Will had no frame of reference for kissing a being with such different physiology, yet the connection felt undeniable. Aurelia's initial hauteur dissolved into curiosity, then unmistakable desire. What began as an unlikely alliance in the face of shared danger transformed into something neither could have imagined possible. Later, as they lay together in the dim light, Will's suit performed an automatic bioscan of the environment, a standard safety protocol. The results flashed across his HUD, impossible and yet unmistakable. Aurelia, he said, his voice hoarse with disbelief. My suit is detecting something. I think you're pregnant. She sat up sharply. Impossible! Cross-species reproduction defies every biological principle we know. Will showed her the scan results. I don't understand it either, but these readings are clear. There's cellular division occurring that matches neither pure human nor pure Solarian patterns. Aurelia's four eyes widened in shock, then narrowed in calculation. If this is true, it changes everything, not just for us, but for both our species. How fast do Solarians gestate? Will asked, still trying to process the implications. Normally, 6 Earth months, Aurelia replied. But this is unprecedented. There's no way to know. The implications struck them both simultaneously. If the Solarian Empire discovered that their queen carried a hybrid child, an abomination by their standards, the consequences would be catastrophic. We need to contact Earth, Will said firmly. My people will protect you, both of you. Aurelia shook her head. Your optimism is admirable but naive. Earth and the Solarian Empire have been in a cold war for decades. They would use this child, as a weapon or a research subject. Before they could debate further, the outpost's perimeter alarm sounded. Aurelia rushed to the monitoring station, her expression grim. Imperial scouts, she said. The storm must have cleared enough for their scanners to penetrate. Will checked his armor's power, 43%. Not ideal, but enough for combat if necessary. How many? A small patrol. 6 warriors. Aurelia retrieved her weapon. They're not looking for me specifically, but if they find a Solarian outpost with a human present, they'll report it immediately. Will finished. We need to stop them. What followed was a desperate battle through the icy tunnels of the outpost. Will and Aurelia fought with the coordination of longtime partners rather than recent adversaries. His human combat tactics complemented her Solarian strength and speed. Together, they neutralized the patrol, not killing the soldiers, at Aurelia's insistence, but incapacitating them and destroying their communications equipment. This is only temporary, Aurelia said, as they bound the unconscious Solarian warriors. When they fail to report in, more will come. Will nodded grimly. We need to move. Is there a way off this moon? There's a small Imperial shuttle in a hidden hangar, Aurelia admitted. But where would we go? Every Solarian outpost would execute us both, and Earth would likely dissect me for research. Then we find neutral territory, Will said. The trading stations at the edge of the Corellian Nebula. Don't ask questions if you've got enough credits. Aurelia touched her abdomen thoughtfully. This child, if it survives, will be the first of its kind. A bridge between our species. All the more reason to ensure its safety, Will said firmly. They prepared to leave, gathering supplies and weapons. But as they reached the hangar, Aurelia doubled over in pain. What's wrong? Will asked, alarmed. I don't know, she gasped. Something's happening. The pregnancy. It's accelerating somehow. Before Will could respond, the outpost systems detected an incoming transmission. Against his better judgment, he activated the receiver. The stern face of a Solarian military commander filled the screen. Queen Aurelia, this is High Commander Pyrax. We have detected unusual energy signatures from your location. Are you compromised? Aurelia straightened, her royal training taking over despite her pain. High Commander, your concern is noted but unnecessary. My research continues without incident. Pyrax's eyes narrowed. Our sensors detected human technology at your location. Your Majesty, explain this anomaly. A crashed pilot, Aurelia said smoothly. I am interrogating him for intelligence before execution. The commander studied her for a long moment. Very well. However, protocol demands verification. I am dispatching a security detail to your location. Expect them within 6 hours. The transmission cut off, and Aurelia sagged against Will. We have less time than I thought. Can you travel? He asked, supporting her weight. I must, she replied grimly. But the child. Something is happening that I don't understand. They boarded the Imperial shuttle, Will taking the controls after a crash course from Aurelia. As they broke atmosphere, another wave of pain caused Aurelia to cry out. The pregnancy is accelerating exponentially, she gasped, checking the shuttle's medical scanner. At this rate, the birth could happen within hours, not months. Will set course for the Corellian Nebula, pushing the shuttle's engines beyond recommended limits. Hang on, he told her, reaching for her hand. We'll figure this out together. Before they could reach neutral space, however, the shuttle's sensors detected multiple warships emerging from hyperspace, bearing the insignia of High Commander Pyrax's fleet. They must have been tracking us all along, Aurelia said, her voice tight with pain and fear. Will checked their weapon systems. The small shuttle was no match for Imperial warships. We can't outrun them, and we can't outfight them. Then we surrender, Aurelia said, surprising him. On my terms. She opened a channel to the lead warship, the massive Imperial Dawn. High Commander Pyrax, this is Queen Aurelia. I will come aboard to explain the situation, but only if you guarantee the safety of the human pilot. He is under my protection. Pyrax's voice crackled through the comms. You protect a human? You betray your species, your Majesty. I protect the future, she replied enigmatically. Do I have your word, Commander? After a tense pause, Pyrax agreed. The shuttle was tractored into the Imperial Dawn's main hangar, where dozens of heavily armed Solarian soldiers awaited them. As they were escorted to the bridge, Will noticed Aurelia's condition deteriorating rapidly. Her abdomen had visibly expanded, and she struggled to walk without support. High Commander Pyrax's expression upon seeing them together was one of undisguised disgust. Your Majesty, what madness is this? Consorting with a human? Not madness, Pyrax. Evolution. Aurelia stood tall despite her pain. What I carry inside me will change the course of our empire's history. News of the Queen's condition spread through the ship like wildfire. Soon, reports came in of unrest throughout the empire, some factions supporting the Queen, others calling for her immediate execution. The Purists have mobilized their forces, an officer reported to Pyrax. They demand we purge the abomination. Pyrax looked torn between duty and loyalty to his queen. Before he could respond, Aurelia collapsed, crying out in agony. "She needs medical attention," Will shouted, breaking protocol to rush to her side. "Take them to the medical bay," Pyrax ordered, his expression unreadable. "And double the guards." The ship's medical facility was state-of-the-art, but the doctors appeared baffled by Aurelia's condition. The pregnancy had advanced to full term in mere hours, defying all biological understanding. "The child comes now," Aurelia gasped, gripping Will's hand with enough force to crack his armor plating. The medical bay's doors burst open as a squad of soldiers entered, weapons drawn. "By order of the Imperial Purist faction, the Queen and her abomination must be eliminated," their leader declared. Will positioned himself between the soldiers and Aurelia, his own weapon ready. "You'll have to go through me first." What followed was chaos. As Will engaged the Purist soldiers, Aurelia's labor intensified. The ship itself seemed to respond to the unfolding drama, with power fluctuations and system malfunctions spreading throughout the Imperial dawn. In the midst of the battle, a blinding light erupted from the medical bay. Every combatant froze as a newborn's cry echoed through the ship, a sound unlike any Solarian or human infant, resonant with strange harmonic overtones. In Aurelia's arms lay a child of impossible beauty, skin that shimmered with both human peach tones and Solarian iridescence, eyes that held the depth of Will's humanity and the complexity of Aurelia's alien perception. "Her name is Aurora Dawn," Aurelia announced, Rory, for short. As if responding to her name, the infant girl opened her eyes fully, and another pulse of energy emanated from her tiny form. Throughout the ship, weapon systems powered down. On the bridge, sensors indicated that Pyrax's entire fleet had been similarly affected. Pyrax himself entered the medical bay, staring in wonder at the child. "What is happening?" Before anyone could answer, the ship's communication system activated spontaneously. Displays throughout the vessel showed the infant, and the image was broadcasting to every Solarian ship and colony in range. "She's connecting us," Will realized aloud. "Somehow, she's bridging our technologies, our biologies, everything." The Purist soldiers lowered their weapons, some dropping to their knees in awe. High Commander Pyrax approached cautiously, then, to everyone's shock, knelt before the child. "The prophesied evolution," he whispered. "The texts spoke of a being who would unite the stars, but we never imagined." In the days that followed, the news of Aurora Dawn spread throughout the Solarian Empire and to Earth. Initial reactions of horror and disgust gradually gave way to curiosity and cautious optimism as Rory's unique abilities became apparent. The child grew at an accelerated rate, displaying intelligence and capabilities that defied conventional understanding. By the time she was 1 month old, she appeared and functioned as a toddler, able to communicate telepathically with both humans and Solarians. Will found himself thrust into the role of diplomat, serving as Earth's representative in the unprecedented negotiations between humanity and the Solarian Empire. Aurelia, once viewed with suspicion by her own people, now led a progressive faction advocating for interspecies cooperation. The joint Human-Solarian Summit was held aboard the Imperial Dawn, now transformed from warship to diplomatic vessel. Representatives from both species gathered to witness what many had deemed impossible, a new path forward together. Will stood beside Aurelia on the observation deck, watching as delegations arrived from across the galaxy. "Did you ever imagine this?" he asked her, gesturing to the assembled ships. "When you found me half frozen on that moon?" Aurelia's laugh was warm and genuine, so different from the cold disdain she'd first shown him. "I was considering shooting you on sight, if you recall." "Your Majesty always had impeccable judgment," Will teased. earning a playful swat from the much taller queen. Rory toddled between them, her unique features drawing admiring glances from passing diplomats. At 3 months old, she appeared as a 3-year-old child, with Will's curly hair framing a face that bore the elegant structure of her mother's species. The summit chamber had been specially prepared to accommodate the hybrid child's presence. As Aurelia had discovered, Rory's proximity caused subtle changes in both human and Solarian physiology, temporary adaptations that made cross-species interaction more comfortable. "They're ready for us," Colonel Sarah Hayes, Earth's military liaison, informed them. The human officer had been among the first to embrace the possibility of alliance rather than war. As they entered the chamber, a hush fell over the assembled delegates. On one side sat the Solarian contingent, their tall forms resplendent in ceremonial armor. On the other, the human delegation appeared comparatively small, but stood with quiet confidence. High Commander Pyrax, now Aurelia's staunchest ally, addressed the gathering first. "For generations, our species have viewed each other with suspicion and hostility. We believed our differences insurmountable. We were wrong." He gestured toward Rory, who gazed around the room with innocent curiosity. "This child, born of both worlds, proves that our future lies not in separation, but in unity." The chamber doors opened again, and to everyone's astonishment, a procession of children entered, each bearing the unmistakable signs of human Solarian heritage. Following the birth of Aurora Dawn, Aurelia explained to the stunned audience, "Other instances of cross-species compatibility have emerged throughout the territories where our peoples interact. What we thought impossible has been happening in secret for years." Will stepped forward. "These children represent not an aberration, but our shared destiny. Their unique biology grants them abilities neither of our species possesses alone. They can survive in environments hostile to both humans and Solarians. They can interface with technologies in ways we're only beginning to understand." A traditionalist Solarian counselor rose in objection. "This is precisely why such abominations should be feared. They will replace us all." Before Will could respond, Rory walked to the center of the chamber. Though still a toddler in appearance, when she spoke, her voice carried the wisdom of ages. "We do not seek to replace," she said, her dual-toned voice echoing throughout the room. "We seek to connect, to bridge, to heal." As she spoke, a gentle wave of energy pulsed from her small form. Throughout the chamber, humans and Solarians alike felt a momentary sense of the other species' perception, a flash of understanding beyond words. The objecting counselor sat down heavily, visibly shaken. One by one, other hybrid children demonstrated their unique gifts, abilities that neither species possessed alone. Some could perceive energy fields invisible to both parent species. Others showed remarkable healing capabilities or intuitive understanding of technologies that had puzzled scientists for generations. By the summit's conclusion, the first interspecies accord was signed, the Aurora Protocol, establishing guidelines for cooperation and exchange between humans and Solarians. As the delegations departed, Will found Aurelia on the observation deck, Rory asleep in her arms despite the excitement. "Not bad for a crashed pilot and a queen who was considering execution as a first-date option," Will said, joining them at the viewport. Aurelia smiled, the expression now coming naturally to her once severe features. "I maintain that would have been the sensible course of action." "Admit it," Will teased. "You liked me from the start." "I found you marginally less repulsive than expected," she conceded with mock gravity. Will laughed. "I'll take that as a royal compliment." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Beyond the viewport, ships from both fleets navigated in harmonious patterns, once thought impossible. "She's going to change everything," Aurelia said softly, looking down at their sleeping daughter. "She already has," Will replied. "The question is, what happens next?" As if in answer, Rory stirred in her sleep. The viewport before them briefly shimmered with images, stars, planets, and possibilities yet unrealized. A glimpse of a future where the boundaries between species dissolved into something greater than the sum of their parts. The images faded as Rory settled back into peaceful slumber. But the promise they represented remained, glittering among the stars. Will slipped his arm around Aurelia's waist, a gesture that once would have been unthinkable between their species. "I think," he said with a smile, "that we're just getting started. Somewhere in the vastness of space, aboard ships and stations and planets where humans and Solarians coexisted, other hybrid children were being born, each one a testament to what could happen when ancient enemies became allies, when fear gave way to curiosity, when the impossible became merely the beginning." And on the observation deck of the Imperial Dawn, the most unlikely family in the galaxy watched the universe unfold before them, not as humans or Solarians, but as pioneers of a future where such distinctions would one day be forgotten, replaced by the simple recognition of shared destiny among the stars.